Welcome to episode 11 of the UFOcast. This time we're talking about the square triangle. That's the square triangle.
Yeah, it sounds like a sweet out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Willy Wonka's square triangle. It is,
Yes.
or an MC Escher painting.
Yes.
Right. So, as is tradition, sorry, just for in case this is your first ever UFOcast, I'm Michael, usually the host of the Tin Dog podcast, and
I'm Luke, late of Tmudwup and YouTube-y stuff.
we're going to have to come up with a more elegant way of putting that, but yes.
Yes, we are.
YouTube sensation.
YouTube sensation, Luke Harrison. Yeah, so we're talking about the square triangle. Do you want to give us a synopsis, Michael?
Indeed, right. Liz Newton and her lover, Cass Fowler, are waiting in a forest cottage for the arrival of Liz's husband, Jack, so that she can shoot him, and then claim that she thought he was an intruder. So when an alien, who Straker has allowed to land in England, arrives, they are extremely surprised when Paul Forrester and Shadow Search Party turn up, hot on the alien's heels. The two lovers are taken into custody. It's quite a quandary for Ed Straker and Colonel Freeman. No, it's not. The couple have seen an alien and must therefore have all the recollections of him erased with the amnesia drug. This means they will remember nothing of the past 24 hours and will be back to where they were, planning Jack Newton's murder, ! And probably at least 4 full stops.
Did you say Paul Forrester?
I did, I got it wrong. It's Foster.
I was just wondering if it was a misprint on the synopsis or you misreading it.
It's a misprint in my eyes.
Yes, so this is the first appearance of the things that the Shadow Mobiles hang out in, that drive them places so as to not make them look suspicious.
Mobile transporters?
Yes.
Yes. And they are Makers Universal. They're practically Universal Exports transporters.
Yes.
But I think Universal Exports was taken by someone else.
Yes. So that's sort of an answer to one of those questions that people pose is like, well, why don't people notice the Shadow Mobiles? And I suppose the idea is that they only get them out very close to a UFO incident, and people close to a UFO incident get amnesiacked.
Indeed. Well, more importantly, on a more logical point, the Shadow Mobiles are track transports. And although they can shift, I mean, you've seen Chieftain tanks move, you can get them better, faster places on the back of a transporter. So it makes sense, because you can go down an ordinary road much faster on wheels. So, yeah,
yes.
that was my argument there. Oh my God, I gave it some thought, and not as much thought as Mr. Meddings obviously had, but yeah. And also, more importantly, not written down in the description, this is the episode with Rodney from Emmerdale.
Right, you'll have to enlighten me because I never watched Emmerdale.
Right. Okay, Emmerdale, formerly Emmerdale Farm, is a soap opera in the UK, which admittedly was the last soap opera I abandoned. I used to watch all of. No, that's actually a vote of confidence. It started in 1972 because I used to watch religiously EastEnders. I watched EastEnders from episode 1. Coronation Street I was brought up with, and Emmerdale Farm, which became Emmerdale, which is based in a farming community and isn't filmed that far from where I live now, was basically the everyday story of country folk but on TV. And that's
basically... So you're saying it's the Archers on telly?
Well, that's originally how it was pitched.
Yes.
And more importantly, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you'll know it as that's the place where Joe Sugden used to live, because he was the actor was in that much more than he was ever in Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yes.
Fraser Hines. So
Fraser
which
Hines,
person
yes.
in this was in Emmerdale?
The gigolo man.
Oh, the creepy lover.
The incredibly creepy lover. The man whose hands are very long and can reach from the back of his car round to stroke the knee of the, I don't even want to say cougar, the incredibly nervous lady.
Yes, the incredibly nervous Adrian Corey.
Yes.
And the creepy Patrick Mower. And
yes.
So one thing I've learnt from the UFO book by Chris Bentley, we're going to have to plug this every episode, aren't we?
Well, yeah.
is that there was a scene, there was going to be a scene where she filled up with petrol, which is why he's hiding in the back of the car. Because for reasons of later witness statements, which they know will be taken, they need to establish the fact that she's on her own. And so that's why he's hiding in the back of the car. Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. You're like, well, why is he hiding in the back of the car?
My reading was that he'd had a few and he was drunk.
Well, that's possible.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking that he'd obviously had a lot to drink. Now, for me, this is basically this episode is an illustration of why this program isn't Torchwood, and also it's a Tales of the Unexpected.
Right, you're gonna have to unpack both of those for us, Michael.
Right. Okay. First off, in the Big Book of UFO, it talks about how they were going to use one of the original props from Doppelganger, which was the heart monitor watch, as part of the ongoing thing that everyone from Shadow would have, which would be basically retcon, a hypno drug device or whatever that would allow people who've seen UFOs to forget stuff. Basically, think the glasses from Men in Black, yeah?
Well, the glasses from Men in Black are the things that they wear to stop themselves from forgetting when they use their neuralizer pens.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You're very right. I'd forgotten. Clearly someone had used one on me. Yeah. No, you know what? I've got those glasses mixed up with the glasses from They Live.
Oh, which allow you to see the aliens
exactly.
If you put them on.
Yes.
And then you can kind of come here and chew bubblegum and kick ass, and you're all out of bubblegum. Exactly.
Yes. One of the greatest movies of all time, in my humble opinion. But we can discuss that another time.
Well, I've only actually seen that scene. I've not seen the rest of it.
It's simply marvellous. Right. Back on topic. Stay on target.
Well, no. Because we had a message from somebody saying thank you for the recommendation about Dead of Night the other week. Because we talked about Dead of Night in a few episodes ago, and I can't remember why we talked about Dead of Night. But
it was because the old lady from the cottage who lived in Ireland without the Irish accent, who was blind and had the parrot, she'd been in that.
Oh, that was it. Well, you've got a better memory than me. Yes. So
it's horror movies. Yes,
we could just make it. Luke and Michael's film recommendations based on things that we think of.
I think we've got an idea for a podcast to do next.
So your this week's recommendation from you is They Live by John Carpenter, I believe.
Oh yes.
The star of which died not that long ago. I seem to recall.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh well, yes. Yeah, sorry, he's dead. And before time, I think, as well. He wasn't that old.
Indeed. Well, of course, the aliens will have taken him out.
So we're properly prevaricating
Sorry,
about the square
really
triangle.
Not nice. Yes, right. So the square triangle is basically an A plot, which is this setup of between seedy man and old nervous lady, who's not old at all, who's older than him.
Yes.
And sorry, getting back to Emmerdale, he plays exactly the same seedy character in that as in this, only with less murderous intent.
Right,
slightly less murderous intent.
He strikes me as being the kind of actor who plays this part very well.
Yes.
And so it doesn't surprise me that he's in other things doing that. It was one of those things where I was like, the name sounded familiar, and I was like, I should know this actor. And then I looked up all the stuff that he'd been in, and I was like, I've not seen him in anything else. He will crop up later in Anderson Watch. Not in something that I've seen.
So you've got that. You've got the spooky storyline with they're setting this up, and you, as an audience, you're watching this, and you're going, right, that's obviously going to go somewhere. Meanwhile, back at actual plot with recognisable characters and everything, Straker's got a plan, and I've got a plan in a kind of War of the Worlds kind of way. No, leave it. So Straker's decided to let the aliens land, the ones that are landing in the south of England, in a very Third Doctor-y kind of way, so that he can contact them and have a chat.
Yes.
Because he's sick of them turning up, and he's like, look, get off my land. No, I'm sick of shooting at you. Tell me why you're here. So he brings up a map that looks like something off Treasure Hunt, and he decides to just kind of do it square by square, sending in the mobiles and find the spaceship. Clearly they've got detectors, but once they've landed, they can't quite zero in. They have to be found visually.
Yes.
So you've got that storyline going on, and we get that. We understand that. That's a bit of ordinary excitement.
Yes.
And then you've got an alien decides to get out of his craft and have a wander around. You've got your storyline with the man out walking his dog, which is not dogging at all. Because apparently he's a gamekeeper rather than, say, a chauffeur, which is what he looks like.
He looks a bit like a chauffeur, doesn't he?
Now, there's one thing that's very important. On the DVD, the titles, he says the name of the dog. Right. Now, I haven't checked the subtitles on the Blu-ray yet, but apparently his dog's called something you just don't hear dogs being called anymore. But it was big in the past when I was a kid. Satan. But according to the subtitles, he's called Sultan.
Right.
Right. Now, he's a lovely German Shepherd. Now, that's the sort of dog my dad likes. I'm a cat person, but that is the sort of dog that I can just imagine my dad going, "What a lovely dog," for like the entire program.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the alien turns up, and it's a different actor playing the alien, I believe.
It is. And again, he will crop up in Anderson Watch later on.
And the costume's slightly different as well. It doesn't have the chainmail on it.
Yes. I mean, I have to say that scene where he chases the gamekeeper through the wood is genuinely horrific.
Yes.
Because the guy is properly freaked out and terrified, and obviously eventually gets shot.
Yeah.
And the alien puts him in his spacecraft, which then blows up and he dies. So it's a properly creepy.
Yeah, well, the dog's
scene.
attacking the alien. He gets his helmet place match. The liquid comes out, so you're so right that the liquid is just in the helmet at this point.
Yeah.
Which was against my argument because I thought the entire suit had liquid in it, but clearly they've just gone. It's just the helmet, so he can breathe Earth oxygen as well, and he recovers remarkably quick. So I don't know what Paul Foster was worried about. In Ordeal.
But that was only in a dream.
Was it only a dream? Ordeal.
Yes.
So it is a truly horrific scene, but it's remarkably well made.
And then we have the UFO blows up, and there is actually no explanation at the end of the story. We have Straker remark on the fact that why did it blow up? It's not been in the Earth's atmosphere long enough. Maybe it was damaged, I think. But it's one of those things is we've had it established earlier in the show that the aliens can't stick around above water for very long without their bodies deteriorating and dying and their spacecraft deteriorating and blowing up. We never actually find out why, which I think is slightly disappointing. And it seems to be that only is there to set up Shadow taking a little bit longer to find the alien because they have a kind of brief bit where they think, oh, we've got him. He's been roasted alive in his own UFO.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be there for any other purpose other than that.
It is odd because this episode does feel slow, and yet there's stuff happening constantly.
Yes.
From a pacing point of view, it is odd, but it's perfectly fine. So anyway, you've got your new alien. He's got his helmet off. He's wandering around, which is nice. But yeah, you're right. That is the reason. The reason is he blows up in order to put them off his trail, and so that he can wander into a house and then randomly get shot.
Well, so did you? Again, this is one of these things of because I first watched this 15 years ago. I can't remember what my initial reactions to these things were. But was it obvious to you how the two plots were going to mesh together or not?
No,
not
at all.
Was it a surprise when that happened? You were like, oh, I see what's happening now.
I suspect I was. I've got a certain level of suspension of disbelief that I engage when I watch something for the first time. Because if I sit there constantly going, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? I enjoy things less. And I've consciously trained myself to switch it off. Otherwise, I'm just in podcast review mode at all times, and I don't enjoy anything.
Yeah.
So I kind of, it's not exactly putting your brain in neutral, but it is kind of going, no, somebody's tried really hard with this, because nobody ever sets out to make a bad program, ever. Right? It's very rare that happens, because everyone tries their hardest to make something good. So if you can just give them that amount of respect
Yeah.
to try and enjoy something. And then afterwards you can go, well, how did I feel? And then you come back and do it again. That is my approach. And it's probably a bit childish, but I suppose that's what I do. So yeah, I didn't really see that one coming. But then again, I've only just started watching Inside Number 9, and I'm trying desperately not to try and figure things out, just so I can enjoy them.
Okay.
I'm trying not to see the twist, because I remember watching The Sixth Sense and getting the twist within the first 8 seconds. And I went,
right.
Because I just went, oh, he got better quick. Are you sure he got better? Oh, look, he's wearing the same clothes. It was that. I didn't. It was, yeah. So I enjoyed something so little that I actually spoiled it. So I now actively go out of my way to try and not look for something like that.
Twists.
So did you spot what was coming?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I can't remember because the first time I saw this was such a long time ago that I can't remember my reaction to it.
Right.
I have to say, my main memory of this episode is Patrick Mower being really creepy and Adrian Corey being completely freaked out. And you just feel really, really sorry for her because
completely.
Clearly there's a reason why she is unhappy with her marriage. And again, the book says that there would have been another scene with her husband leering over his secretary. Because actually...
to make it more justifiable.
Yes, because there's no... in the episode as it stands, there's no real reason given as to why he's such a terrible husband. Because all we see of him is he seems a nice chap who's bought her a pendant and rings her from his car to say that he's on his way. Which
instantly, if you think about it, means that the whole murder would eventually been pinned on her at some point anyway. Because her entire defence was she had no idea he was coming through the door. But phone records would have said that he phoned the cottage and it was on record that he was on his way. So therefore, she wouldn't have got away with it.
Well, but you're thinking of it through kind of modern detective programs where they always look up everybody's phone records and stuff.
Using a mobile phone in the car.
Available? Yeah, I don't know whether the information would have been available back then that a call had been made. Whether you'd have been able to track that down.
I was thinking a landline, no, but a mobile phone, yes, and he was using a car phone because it would have used radio masts using 80s technology.
That is true. Yes. Well, anyway, that aside,
yes.
The thing about their plan that I don't understand is the Polaroid photographs.
What? Yeah,
because that's never really explained. I mean, other than like he looks at them at the beginning and he looks at one and he goes over and opens a door. So they've clearly taken photographs of what the house looked like at some point in the past to make it look, and they want to make it look like that now. But I don't know why that's necessarily important.
I'm sorry, I can't help you on that one because I agree.
Because I don't know why those details would matter to a police investigation, because the only thing that they've got to establish is that the light bulb was broken, which is why she didn't see that it was him, and therefore she could shoot him, which is in the end why she shoots the alien. Well, actually, no, there's a curtain in the way. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
there's a curtain.
There's a curtain.
You can't see who's coming in the door anyway, so the whole light bulb thing seems a bit odd. So. Yes. So, obviously at the end of the episode, we kind of see that they having had their memories wiped, they go through with it and it works. But it does seem a slightly potentially
I'm
difficult
guessing
plan
that they come up with a different plan because in order to get away with it, because having him turn up twice to the same cottage. Because the memories, when memories get wiped, they need to be replaced with something else, I would argue. They need to be, because you don't just go, oh, can't remember yesterday, that's weird. You go, oh, I remember going to work, or something like that. Just to try and help.
But the way that there is no implication of that at all in UFO.
No. Just have it the last 12 hours wiped, yeah.
It just says we're going to wipe the last 12 hours. And so... you're right. You would need to replace that memory with something because they're going to wonder what happened.
Yeah.
And also the husband, as far as we know, the husband doesn't get his memory wiped.
No, Paul Forrester is. They actually say at the end, "Have you taken care of it?" Has Paul Forrester said, "Yeah, I've taken care of it all here." So to me, that's implied that he's also had his memory wiped as well.
He's also amnesia'd the husband. Yeah, well, maybe that's so. But
So,
then the whole thing is they're all going to forget what happened,
and then they end up doing it again. Yeah, right.
And then end up doing it again. But they're all going to have a gap in their memory as to what they actually did and why they didn't go through with it. Because if they only had like the last 12 hours of their memory wiped, they will remember the fact that they were going to do this plot on that night, and they won't know why they haven't done it. So it does. Yes, it seems a bit odd. The memory wiping has to have another component.
So in Torchwood you've got retcon, which basically does the same job, right? But also in Torchwood you've got things like PC Andy, right, who is a character in the police force, who is one of their contacts. So if this storyline was happening in Torchwood, then they would have just gone to PC Andy and gone, keep an eye on these two, try and save the husband, right? That's what would have happened. Right.
Yes.
I've been talking about this quite a bit on the Tin Dog podcast, because Big Finish have currently got UNIT, Torchwood, and New Countermeasures, and they're basically all Earth-based, UK-based government or semi-government organisations who are on the lookout for alien, and they've all dealt with the Doctor in the past, and they're all taking out aliens or threats to the UK, that kind of thing. Or threats to humanity.
So somewhat similar to UFO.
Three programs that are, you've got four if you count UFO, four programs that are exactly the same. So what you have to have is a unique selling point for each of them, something that makes them different. In Big Finish, you've managed it with those ones. But obviously you have to compare them with obviously UFO doesn't have the Doctor Who connection. And it had to be different from other programs of the time. So it had to be different from The Invaders. So they had to sort of work at it being different, and this makes it a lot more British feeling and a bit Tales of the Unexpected, which I know came a few years later. But that we have a history of stories with a bit of a twist, and it does feel like the sort of story that would appear in, say, the UFO Annual or something like that. Can I just say the one good thing I did like about this was the car phone used by the husband is hands free. He's got a microphone on a bendy stick, which is brilliant.
Yes. So he's actually got better technology than Straker, because Straker actually has to pick his car phone up.
Yeah, so good on him for having a hands-free kit. I like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not going to crash whilst speaking on the phone. Well, I mean, we didn't see how he dialed, though.
No, that's true.
One assumes they don't have...
Well, it was probably a pulse dialer. It was one of those ones where you have to turn the thing with this. Can I just say, there is an elephant in the room that neither of us discussed, right? But the Patrick Moore, they walk into the room, the little thing, and he gets something out of his bag. Now, you think, they've snuck off for a bit of an affair. And then he gets the gun out, but it looks just questionable, the way he's holding it, and it doesn't look like a gun. It looks like a rod of some sort with grooves. And it's just, you just want to go, no. Just stop it. Stop it. No.
What do you mean? Your brain stop it, or the editing or the filming of the show?
It's never my brain. Always the show. Always the show.
I can't say that I thought that myself, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah. So I don't know what the aliens want. I don't know why he's gone for a wander. I don't know how he's ended up in this flat. So the retcon.
No. I think it's quite clear what. I think it's quite clear what's going on with the alien. Is that I think the best explanation is the UFO has been damaged, landing on Earth.
Yeah.
The alien does what aliens do when they land. He looks for the nearest body to steal. He tries to drug him to keep the body fresh. That fails. He has to shoot the guy. He gets the body back to the UFO, realizes it's going to blow up, and leaves. And the UFO does blow up.
Perhaps the UFO was damaged by
he's
one of
left
the blasts.
with, presumably. That's the best explanation. So you're then just left with, well, he's stranded on Earth. What does he do? And clearly he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe he thinks he needs some food. Maybe he wants to try and find the nearest place with some technology so that he can build some kind of transmitter to talk to phone home, as it were. And he happens to stumble into the wrong house and get shot. So I think that for me, that part of the plot is eminently sensible.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah. For me, this episode works quite well, and it's just the creepiness of Patrick Mower which makes it something of an unpleasant watch. But I think that is somewhat intentional.
No, that makes complete sense. Yes, I agree.
I don't know. Are you're less enamoured with this episode, I feel.
Yeah, I was, but I think it was more to do with, like I said, the pacing. It just felt a bit slow. But now I'm rewatching it, I'm liking it more.
When you say the pacing's slow, I mean that's just UFO,
the
isn't it?
UFO. I think it's the scene where they all sit down and chat about that the murder was being planned, and then they go, "Oh, it's nothing to do with us." And it's basically Straker's going, "Well, we're not marriage counsellors," and that's the end of it. They don't decide to help even remotely.
No, it's very odd, because you'd think that they, although they can't reveal their existence, surely there's a way that they can get somebody to keep tabs on
possibly
the couple who they know,
possibly hide the gun.
The husband. Well, yeah, that's possible. But they could always get another weapon from somewhere. But
that's true.
So another theory that I read online was that actually he's not dead. And the person's theory basically went this way. So at the end, we see them in front of the gravestone, right?
Yes.
Now imagine they give them the retcon drug, and they think that they've killed him.
Right.
Right. And so Shadow arranges for a funeral, and a gravestone. So they think that he's dead, and then they spirit away the husband into some kind of witness protection program,
right?
Such that he can continue living. Now, obviously, that's problematic because you then have, well, what does the husband know about why he's been spirited away?
Does the actor reappear in UFO at any point? You could imply that he's been hired by them. That would be the only thing.
Well, that's the other option, yes.
Because he's a businessman,
I don't think
he's got all these other people who work under him. Because it's implied that they're trying to kill him in order to get his cash. Because if she divorces him, then they would just be, she'd be free of him to run off with Rodney.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously she wants his money from some sort of insurance thing.
Yes.
Right. And
yeah, so that makes sense. So, I don't know. It was just an interesting fan theory that I came across that hadn't occurred to me. The ending scene meant anything other than what it's a
perfectly reasonable theory, and it means that Lord Cranley didn't die, so that's fine.
He's not Lord Cranley.
Is he not?
No, you've mistaken. We'll get to where you know him from. He's not. He's an honorary watch, because he's not in any other Anderson shows or Doctor Who or The Prisoner, but I've put him on because he is in something that's quite famous.
Right. Okay.
And we'll see when we get to that if you can place him.
Well,
but no, he's not Lord Cranley.
No. Right. Okay.
No, he's not Lord Cranley. Yes. I mean, and it is quite. We've got a full Anderson watch, Doctor Who watch, and Prisoner watch section to do this.
Well, I must admit, perhaps we should embark on that one, because
do we have more to say?
I must admit, I don't. I did enjoy this episode more on a rewatch than I do when I first watched it, because it, like you said, it was the creepiness.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So yeah, if it was a different program, then it would be handled in a different way. But it just means, I think it's because Straker's so jaded with marriage that he just thought, well, everyone deserves each other and that's it. So do you want to embark on Anderson watch?
No, that's an interesting comment actually. That yes, because of where Straker is emotionally.
He just washes his hands and goes sod them.
Yes, because it's Foster and Freeman who are more kind of like, we need to do something about this, and Straker's like, well, we can't do anything about it.
Yes.
Well, so in which case, let's just dive straight in because we've got a lot of people to talk about. And the first one in Anderson Watch is Patrick Mower himself.
Right. Now I'm guessing from the way you said, I'm thinking he's going to be in a Space 1999.
Yes, that's one of his two other Anderson roles.
Right.
Yes, he appeared in the Space 99 episode All That Glitters as a character called Dave Riley. And he appeared in an episode of The Protectors called Implicado.
It's not a space name, is it, Dave?
No, as Rafael Santana.
Unless you count 2001, I guess it is. Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Well, yeah. So yes, you've got two other Anderson shows. The two other Anderson shows that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
The Protectors and Space 1999.
I must admit, I've never seen an episode of The Protectors.
No, yeah. So.
Right. So you've got him covered.
We'll move the next one on the list to the end because he crosses over into into Doctor Who.
Okay.
So we'll leave him. So the next one is Anthony Chin.
The alien. Yes.
Yes, and you've watched more episodes of UFO down the line, so do you recognise him?
I must admit, I don't.
So he plays, very originally, Lieutenant Tony Chin with one N instead of two,
right? Just
to disguise the fact that he's essentially playing a person with the same name as him. He plays the guy who's piloting the submarine in Subsmash.
In Subsmash, right?
The one who goes mad. You're not a big fan of Subsmash, are you?
I must admit I'm not, but that's mainly because I've got issues with submarine stories, and I'm sure we'll cover those later on.
Okay, because I quite like that one. But yes, that will be coming up in 4 or 5 episodes' time, I believe.
Yes.
Subsmash. And then he was a regular character in The Protectors.
Right.
He played a character called Chino.
Like the trousers, okay.
There's a theme here. So we've got Anthony Chin playing Lieutenant Chin, and then a character called Chino. So yeah, so he had a regular role in The Protectors, 13 episodes as a character called Chino, which is not racial stereotyping at all, is it?
No. Moving on.
Moving on. And then his previous Anderson role was in the film Doppelganger. Which we've talked about before.
I'm sure at some point we will do a proper doppelganger episode at some point. Let me see.
We might do.
Ooh, did he play someone? No, I'm not even going to guess because I'm going to just incriminate myself if I start guessing at the sort of names they give.
Do you remember where the spaceship crashes in Doppelganger?
Of course, Mongolia.
Yes, so he plays at one of the Mongolian rescue crew.
Yes.
In Doppelganger.
Of course he does.
And then we have another actor, but he crosses over into Prisoner Watch. So there's we'll deal with the writer first. Did you recognise the name of the writer of this episode?
No, I didn't. Alan
Patillo.
Okay.
Yes. But not primarily known as a writer. I don't. Well, no, actually, no. Part writer, but also had several other roles on Jerry Anderson shows.
Right, you're going to have to help me on this one because I just don't.
I'm going to have to fill you in, aren't I? So he did write other stuff, but he was primarily a director as far back as Four Feather Falls.
Good Lord.
So he directed episodes of Four Feather Falls, Supercar, Fireball XL5, Stingray, and Thunderbirds.
That's quite prolific.
It is quite prolific, yes. I mainly recognise his name from the end credits of Thunderbirds. I seem to recall seeing that on episodes of Thunderbirds. And then he was an editor as well. He edited an episode of Four Feather Falls, and he also edited an episode of A Space 1999. So he had... there are obviously skills that cross over from directing into editing.
Yes.
Hitchcock famously essentially edited as he shot because he only shot what he wanted to go into the edit. so his editors didn't get any choice about what they put in.
You know what? I've got real issues with Hitchcock, and that's an entire conversation for another time.
It is. So yeah, he did some editing stuff, and then he was the script editor on Thunderbirds, which actually that's probably why I recognise his name.
I was going to say that is a big job.
I believe his name comes up over the picture of the mole on episodes of Thunderbirds.
Oh, I'm picturing it now.
I might be wrong about that.
I did
it's either
love
that
them
or
all.
Thunderbird 4. I don't know. I'm just plucking bits of the end title sequence out of my head now. And then he wrote 7 episodes of Thunderbirds.
Excellent.
As well as script editing it. And he also wrote an episode of Captain Scarlet.
Well, you know what? That's pretty impressive. Is he still with us? You know what? Tell you what, I'll check.
He might well be, but
yes.
I don't know.
Well, either way, very impressive resume.
Very impressive resume, yes.
Yes, go
on. Yes, so we have 2 crossovers from Anderson Watch into one into Doctor Who Watch and one into Prisoner Watch. So we'll do the Doctor Who Watch one, and then we'll come back to Prisoner Watch later.
You know what? The whole Lord Cranley thing's just knocked me for 6. I'm not even going to think about anyone else.
Well, we'll do him at the end.
Okay.
The Game Warden.
Yes.
Did you recognise the Game Warden?
Well, I thought he was a chauffeur, so I didn't recognise him. But I'm guessing, just from applying a bit of logic, that the guy's a stunt guy, and he was possibly a member of Havoc.
Well, you're totally wrong.
Excellent. Well, to be fair, I'm getting a T-shirt made with the words "Bad Fan" written on it in the same Bad Wolf font.
So he's an actor called Godfrey James.
Mm. Yes.
And he appeared in an episode of Space 1999 called The Rules of Luton.
Not making...
Luton as in the place, or at least spelt the same way as the place.
Okay.
I've no idea what that was about. And he played a character called Alien Transporter.
Right. Okay.
I mean, Space 1999 fans, please write in and tell us all about these Space 1999 people that we keep coming up with in Anderson Watch, because we haven't a clue.
Well, the thing is, right, I owned every single episode on VHS, watched them twice, and then sold the set. Because I bought them dirt cheap. There was a second-hand shop near college, and somebody had put them in there, and I used to go in every couple of weeks and just buy the next one and then watch it.
Right.
And then I had a massive set taking up far too much shelf room, and I just thought, well, I don't really need these. And that was it. So my memories are literally 25 years ago of me watching them, and then that's it. So I've seen every episode, but I've got very little memory of it. I think it was a time when I sort of embraced the Doctor Who VHS bonanza and went down that road instead.
And as we've previously established, I've seen about half an episode of Space 1999, so it's entirely alien, pun intended, to me. Maybe we'll get round to it at some point. Well, anyway, so back to Godfrey James from The Rules of Luton. Who was he in Doctor Who?
I've lost it. I've completely lost it.
I'm
making the point of not cheating and looking anybody up in a book.
Okay, if I said the words blue screen and caves, would you have an idea?
Was he in And the Dinosaurs, or Silurians, or the Cave Monsters, whichever you want? Was it that? No, he wasn't a random potholer. In that case, was he a miner and hanging around in a Pertwee-style story, and was he green at one point?
No.
Right, hang on. I'm going down blue screen. I'm going down CSO. Yes. I feel like Derek Akura here. Right, I'm getting some sort of blue screen caves. The only thing that's left really, was he some sort of allegory for a Greek story?
Yes.
There you go. Was it somebody on board the Persephone?
Yes, he was one of the guards. So I spent some of his time wearing a black hood over his head, so you couldn't see him. But you do see him back at headquarters with his hood off, and he's definitely the same guy that plays the game warden in this episode of UFO.
Right. Can I just say, I used to play a game with my daughter when she was about 4, where my wife would turn the sound off on the TV, I'd face away from the TV, and my wife would put a random episode of Doctor Who on the TV, and my daughter, who just learned to talk, would describe what was happening on the TV, and I had to guess what episode it was. And that's possibly one of the greatest games you'll ever play. So when your daughter is old enough, play that. Because
I will have to persuade my wife to play that, yeah.
From your description of CSO and caves, I got it. So I'm very happy.
Yes, you did.
It was only a third attempt.
A small child would probably not describe it in the same way.
Well, exactly.
Obviously, blue screen will be her first words, because I'll make sure I teach it to her.
I think you'll find that your daughter's first words will be CSO.
Yes, colour separation overlay.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, we didn't talk about the blue screen in the previous episode of UFO.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We're during the car chase.
The car, well, and the fact that the helmets on Moonbase went white on the blue screen shots because the optical processing had drained the yellow for some reason out of the shot. So in the shots where it's not blue screen, they're yellow, and then on the reverse shots where they are, they're white.
Explains a lot. It certainly does.
Anyway, that should have gone in last time's episode, the responsibility seat. Anyway, we are almost through, Michael.
Almost.
For those people who aren't fans of this section of the show, we are nearly there. So we're back into Anderson Watch before we transition into Prisoner Watch. And did you notice something odd about Keith Ford in this episode? Was
it his hair?
No, it wasn't.
Was he somebody else? Was he played by a completely different actor? I've lost
No. In terms of the film recording, he was played by exactly the same actor.
Okay.
But his voice was dubbed.
His voice was dubbed by somebody else. Why did they keep doing this?
Well, this is one of the things that the UFO book has answered for me. Keith Alexander was unavailable for post-sync work on this episode, so his role as Lieutenant Keith Ford was dubbed throughout by Robert Riety, or Righty.
Okay.
I don't know how you pronounce the name. And apparently he was a voice actor. He dubbed lots of people. I think he did some James Bond work, and he does various voices in Space 1999.
Yes.
That is why he's in Anderson Watch. Why is he in Prisoner Watch, Michael?
Did he do the voiceover? I can't remember. Is he the general?
No. You were closer when you said, did he do the voiceover? So, you know how every episode of the... Well, it's not true. How almost every episode of The Prisoner...
Yes.
Almost every episode of The Prisoner begins with the whole, who are you?
Yes.
The new number 2, who is number 1, you are number 6, da-di-da-di-da.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And on a number of episodes, they actually get the actor who's playing the number 2 that week to do the number 2 lines.
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
However, there is a generic version, which appears on probably about half the episodes, where it's the voice of somebody who never appears as number 2 in the show. And who might that be?
And that might be him, the person that we're talking about right now.
Robert Righty, yes. So if it's the generic Prisoner opening, that's who it is.
You see, I bow to your superior knowledge. I genuinely do.
Which is why it's very odd to then have him dub Keith Ford, given that his voice is very unlike Keith. Well, sorry, very unlike Keith Alexander's voice, who plays Keith Ford. It's very confusing, those characters having the same first name. Yes, it's just very odd. But clearly, because he was unavailable to do post-sync work to dub all of his lines, they had to replace all of them.
Can I just ask a question?
Voice.
Do you think that the sound recorders on site weren't as good as they were used to? Because there's a lot more dubbing going on than you would expect.
There's a lot of dubbing. I wonder whether it's anything to do with the fact that there's a lot of mechanical stuff going on in Shadow HQ.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
And the monitors. So you've got all the kind of computer props whizzing round.
Yeah.
and you've got all the monitors and stuff. And I just wonder whether there was too much background noise. I mean, obviously they dub on a bunch of background noise specifically to kind of say, well, this is what Shadow HQ sounds like.
Yeah, but that's controlled noise. I get it. Yeah, that's atmosphere. So that makes complete sense.
But I just wonder whether there was a lot of noise on set.
Indeed.
And they just had to redub a lot of stuff. I don't know, and I don't know whether UFO has more or less dubbing than other shows of the time. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
But
so
clearly there's a lot going on.
We've got one
and in
person.
This case,
we really do have one person left to cover, and I can't keep my excitement going. Tell me,
right?
who Lord Cranley isn't.
Right, so it's not, and I've forgotten the actor's name who plays Lord Cranley, to be honest. I should know. But it's not him anyway. It's an actor called Alan Cuthbertson, if that helps.
It doesn't help me.
Almost certainly won't. Now, if I said Colonel Hall,
right,
would that mean anything to you?
No.
If I said Colonel Hall and Mr. Twitchin, would that mean anything to you?
It's sounding like something from the Avengers. So I'm guessing no, it won't.
If I said ducks off.
Right, you know what? You're going to have to just tell me. I can't handle it anymore. Okay,
so it's from the episode of Fawlty Towers where
of course
they have the gourmet night. And he realises that he's invited Colonel and Mrs. Hall and Mr. and Mrs. Twitchin, and Colonel Hall has a twitch. And so when he's trying to introduce Mr. Twitchin to Colonel Hall does his twitch. And Basil Fawlty can't bring himself to say, and this is Mr. Twitchin.
You know what? You complete... bad fan. Bad fan.
You know exactly now, don't you?
Completely, yeah. Completely.
Because the minute he turned up, I was like, he's the twitchy guy. And then obviously in this episode, he doesn't twitch because that is acting.
You know what? I'm going to have to go away and watch a lot more classic British TV. I really am.
Well, Fawlty Towers is very straightforward because there's only 12 half hours. Actually, no, not 12 half hours. Fawlty Towers is notorious for overrunning its half-hour slot. But there are 12 half-hour-ish episodes of Fawlty Towers. So plenty of time to catch up with that.
Right.
Not that I think there's much other overlap between Fawlty Towers and a UFO, but apologies again to fans who really hate that bit of the show. But it's over for another episode. What are we looking at next time, Michael?
Next time, he said, going straight to his big book of UFO-ness, is Court Martial.
Court Martial. We'll see you next time. And I mean, I'm hoping that I'll have done a good enough editing job on this to edit out my cough. But I do apologise if any of it has snuck through. I have a horrible cold at the moment. And by the time we record next month, hopefully I will be better. And we will see you then.
Indeed. Be seeing you.
Well, I have largely recovered from that cold. I think I'm possibly coming down with another one right now. Before you all write in and tell me about the person I missed out of Doctor Who Watch, I am aware of the fact, and Michael and I are going to talk about her at the beginning of our next episode, which, as we said, was Court Martial. You have been listening to the UFOcast with me, Luke, from Tmudwup.
And me, Michael, from the Tin Dog Podcast.
Please get in touch with the show, let us know what you think and any feedback you might have at ufocast@yahoo.com.
Or on Twitter at UFO_cast. Available on Stitcher and iTunes.